My name is Ryan. This happened when I was in my late 20s, just a few years into my marriage. It all started on the day a business trip I had scheduled was suddenly cancelled. I had been working long hours, and since I unexpectedly had some free time, I thought it would be nice to surprise my wife, Emily. She always worked hard taking care of the house, and I figured she deserved a little treat. Instead of calling her, I decided to go the extra mile and surprise her. On my way home, I stopped by her favorite bakery and picked up some desserts she loved. I also bought a bottle of wine we both enjoyed and planned for us to order dinner and have a cozy night together, something we hadn't done in a while. When I got home, I quietly unlocked the door, wanting to catch her off guard in a good way. But as I stepped inside, I heard a sound coming from the bedroom. At first, I assumed she was watching TV. But as I moved closer, I realized it wasn't the TV, it was Emily's voice. She wasn't alone. My heart pounded. My mind went blank. It was her voice, but the tone, the words, there was no mistaking what was happening. I felt an unbearable tightness in my chest, like someone was squeezing my heart. Without thinking, I turned and left. I drove aimlessly for a while before stopping at my best friend Jake's place. He immediately noticed something was wrong and invited me in. After downing a couple of drinks, I told him everything. He listened, then calmly said, "Ryan, whatever you do next, make sure you have proof." That night, I couldn't sleep. The betrayal replayed in my mind over and over. The next day at work, I could barely focus. After my shift, I had no choice but to go back home. When I walked in, Emily greeted me like nothing had happened. I forced myself to act normal, though my insides were screaming. I excused myself to the bathroom to calm down. When I returned, Emily had already set the table for dinner, just like she always did. I sat there, staring at the food, but I couldn't taste a thing. My mind raced with questions. Who was the other guy? How long had this been going on? As if sensing something was off, she asked, "Are you okay?" I forced a smile and lied. "Yeah, just some trouble at work. Might have to do more overtime." She didn't push further, but I noticed her eyes flicker with something. Guilt? Suspicion? I didn't know. That night, after she fell asleep, I took a crucial step. I placed a voice recorder in our bedroom. The following morning, I told her I had another business trip coming up and wouldn't be home for a few days. If she was cheating, I knew she'd take advantage of my absence. I left the house but didn't go on a trip. Instead, I stayed at Jake's place, distracting myself with drinks and video games, though my mind never really left home. I couldn't stop picturing what might be happening in my own bed. When I returned home a few days later, I acted normal. That night, when Emily and I went out to dinner, I had Jake swing by our place to retrieve the voice recorder. Later, he called me with the results. "Ryan, listen to me. Stay calm." My heart dropped. "Tell me." "She's cheating." I gripped my phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. I felt like the ground beneath me had disappeared. Tears blurred my vision. I hung up and walked back to our table, my face frozen in a blank expression. Emily looked up at me, smiling. That same smile she always gave me. It made me sick. I sat down and stared at her. "So, what did you do while I was away?" She hesitated. "Not much. Just ran errands." Her voice wavered. Her eyes darted. I pressed harder. "Are you sure?" "What do you mean?" she asked, her face paling. I leaned forward and whispered, "I know everything, Emily." panic flickered across her face. She stammered, denying everything. But I wasn't asking, I was telling. We have evidence. The recording. You brought another man into our home. She froze. Then, suddenly, she burst into tears. No. It's not what you think. I scoffed. Then what is it, Emily? I was alone. I frowned. What? I wasn't cheating. I was using something. Confused, I replayed Jake's call in my head. The recording had her voice, but no man's. Just her. Alone. Realization hit me like a freight train. She saw the look on my face and whispered, "You didn't trust me. You recorded me. How could you?" I had nothing to say. I had doubted her, gathered evidence, and in the end, I was wrong. She stormed out, humiliated. The next day, she packed a bag and left for her parents' house. I spent days trying to make things right. When I finally went to see her, her father was furious. Rightfully so. I begged for forgiveness. It took time, but eventually, she came home. We rebuilt, piece by piece. Years later, we have kids, a family, a life. But trust? That took even longer to restore. Ironically, Emily later admitted that my strange behavior during that time made her suspect I was the one cheating. My secret calls to Jake, my sudden business trip, she had wondered if I was hiding something. In the end, we almost lost each other over a misunderstanding. So, if you ever find yourself doubting your partner, think before you act. Assumptions can destroy everything. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe. Your support keeps us going. Thanks for watching.